The plane begins to shake. The seatbelt sign lights up. A few passengers grab their armrests. You feel your stomach drop and wonder, is this safe? But inside the cockpit, the pilots remain calm, focused, and steady. Why don't they panic like passengers sometimes do? The answer is simple. They understand turbulence deeply. What feels frightening to you feels routine to them. So what secrets do pilots know that most passengers don't? Let's find out. 1. Turbulence is a normal part of flying. One of the biggest secrets pilots understand is that turbulence is completely normal. Air is not empty space. It moves constantly due to temperature differences, pressure systems, jet streams, and weather changes. When an airplane moves through these shifting air currents, it reacts just like a boat moving across waves in the ocean. Pilots expect turbulence on almost every flight. It is not considered an emergency. It is simply part of aviation. Modern aircraft such as the Boeing 737 and the Airbus A320 are specifically built to operate safely in moving air. Before these planes are approved for passengers, they go through intense testing that pushes them far beyond normal flying conditions. Passengers may think something is going wrong. Pilots think this is part of the job. Isn't it interesting how perspective changes fear? 2. The aircraft is much stronger than it looks. When turbulence happens, you may see the wings flex up and down. You might hear creaking or feel shaking. It can look dramatic from your seat. But pilots understand aircraft engineering. Wings are designed to bend. In fact, flexibility makes them safer. During certification testing, manufacturers like Boeing and Airbus push aircraft wings to extreme bending points to ensure they can handle stress far greater than normal turbulence. The truth is, most turbulence doesn't even come close to the aircraft's structural limits. Not even close. Pilots know exactly how strong the plane is because they study its design, limits, and performance during training. What looks fragile from a window seat is actually incredibly powerful. Would you feel less afraid if you could see the strength behind the design? 3. Pilots usually know turbulence is coming. Passengers are often surprised when turbulence hits, but pilots rarely are. Before every flight, pilots study detailed weather briefings. They examine wind patterns, jet streams, storm systems, and turbulence forecasts. Aviation authorities like the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, provide advanced weather tools and safety systems. Pilots also receive reports from other aircraft flying ahead on the same route. If another flight experiences rough air, that information is shared quickly, so when your aircraft begins to shake, the pilots likely expected it. That sudden bump may not be sudden to them. Does knowing they're prepared make you feel more secure? 4. Slowing down is a safety strategy. When turbulence starts, you may hear the engines change sound. The plane might feel slightly different. Some passengers think the aircraft is losing power. In reality, pilots often reduce speed intentionally. This is called flying at turbulence penetration speed. Slowing down reduces the stress placed on the aircraft and makes movement smoother. Think of driving on a rough road. If you drive too fast, every bump feels harder. If you slow down, the ride improves. Pilots follow strict guidelines when adjusting speed in turbulence. These procedures are carefully designed for safety. A quieter engine does not mean trouble. It means control. Wouldn't you rather have a pilot who adjusts carefully instead of rushing? 5. Most turbulence is light or moderate. Pilots classify turbulence into 4 categories: light, moderate, severe, and extreme. Here's something most passengers don't realize. Most turbulence falls into the light or moderate category. Light turbulence may feel like small bumps. Moderate turbulence can feel stronger and may move the aircraft more noticeably. Severe turbulence is rare. Extreme turbulence is extremely rare. Even moderate turbulence can feel dramatic because humans are sensitive to vertical motion. But in aviation terms, moderate turbulence is still well within safe operating limits. Pilots experience turbulence regularly during their careers. For them, it becomes routine. Is the fear coming from the movement or from imagining the worst? 6. The biggest danger is inside the cabin. Here's a surprising secret. Turbulence rarely damages commercial aircraft. The biggest risk is injury to passengers who are not wearing seatbelts. If someone is standing or walking during sudden turbulence, they could be thrown upward. That's why pilots turn on the seatbelt sign early, even if the turbulence seems mild. The aircraft itself is usually fine. The concern is people moving around the cabin. This is why experts recommend keeping your seatbelt fastened whenever you are seated, even if the sign is off. Have you ever taken your seatbelt off during a smooth flight? 7. Pilots train for worse scenarios than you'll likely experience. Pilots spend many hours in advanced simulators practicing extreme weather conditions. Training centers such as Lufthansa Aviation training recreates severe turbulence scenarios in a safe environment. In fact, the turbulence pilots train for is often worse than what passengers experience in real life. They practice how to adjust speed, change altitude, communicate with air traffic control, and maintain calm. By the time pilots are flying commercial passengers, turbulence is familiar, not frightening. Training builds confidence. Knowledge removes panic. Would you feel calmer knowing your pilot has practiced much tougher situations than your current flight? 8. Clear air turbulence is invisible. Sometimes turbulence happens even when the sky looks perfectly clear. This is called clear air turbulence. It can't always be seen on weather radar because there are no visible clouds or storms. That can surprise passengers. But pilots rely on advanced forecasting models and reports from other aircraft to anticipate these areas. Technology developed by companies like Honeywell Aerospace helps provide updated flight data and system monitoring. Even when turbulence appears suddenly, pilots follow established procedures. Invisible does not mean dangerous. Does fear increase when you don't see the cause? 9. Turbulence almost never causes modern jet crashes. This may be the most reassuring secret of all. Turbulence is uncomfortable, but it is rarely catastrophic. Modern commercial aircraft are built under strict global safety regulations. They are tested under extreme conditions before entering service. Direct crashes caused purely by turbulence in modern commercial jets are extremely rare. Pilots understand these statistics. They know the safety data. That knowledge gives them confidence. Passengers react emotionally. Pilots rely on facts. Which response do you think is more accurate? Why turbulence feels so scary? Humans are not designed to fly. We live on the ground. When the plane moves vertically, our brain sometimes interprets that motion as danger, even if we are safe. Fear often comes from lack of control. In turbulence, passengers cannot see what's happening ahead. They cannot control the aircraft. But pilots can. They understand airflow. They understand weather systems. They understand aircraft limits. Knowledge replaces fear. In conclusion, turbulence may shake the cabin, rattle overhead bins, and test your nerves, but pilots view it from a completely different perspective. To them, turbulence is normal, expected, and safely within the aircraft's design limits. Modern airplanes are engineered to handle forces far stronger than the bumps passengers usually feel. Pilots train in simulators for situations much worse than everyday turbulence. They prepare ahead of time, study weather reports, adjust routes, and rely on advanced technology, data, and experience, not fear. The real danger during turbulence is passengers not wearing their seatbelts when sudden movement happens. Staying seated and buckled is the simplest way to stay safe. So the next time your flight gets bumpy, will you trust the skill and training behind the cockpit door? If you liked this video, press the bell button, share your experience in the comments, and tell us your thoughts below. Thank you.